It's time to get nerdy, y'all.
A little bit of gaming history for you.
Something relevant in gaming and discuss our opinions on it.
Should we kick it out of here, or should we kick-start it?
This is the part where you, the listeners, try to stump the hosts.
I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on a podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses of all ages, welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, and it is time to get nerdy. Welcome to episode 385 of Two Nerds in a Pod, the nerdiest gaming podcast in the multiverse. I am Mac, as you know, and I am joined by a special co-host for today. He is a master of dungeons. He's also a master of Shakespeare, beer, and kind of everything in between. We know him as Chase and or TQ Loudly from such luminous podcasts as Chase. Just hit us with them.
I am the DM of Another Path. I play Nehemiah on Imprinted Echoes. I was on a podcast called Shakespeare that is on a weird pseudo-indefinite hiatus. It's always this close to coming back. So hopefully that'll come back around at some point.
Well, hey, if only Shaky was putting out more plays, then we would have more material.
You know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And of course, head honcho over at Ghostlight Media.
Absolutely.
So it's delightful to have you. Thanks for coming back. Apparently, we didn't scare you away last time. Thanks for coming back to talk video games, dude.
Oh, happy to do it.
Any particularly fun or exciting things happen to you this last week?
No, it's been pretty mellow. I will say we do have a guest on Another Path for the coming episodes.
It's not me?
It's not, sadly not.
Dang
Not
it.
yet. Not yet.
Oh.
One Dash Gearhart, who is an improver out of the Chicagoland area,
Nice.
who will be joining us. The intro for his character is going to be at the end of the impending episode, is likely dropping while we are on this very call, and then he will be on for the next couple of episodes. We recorded those episodes last night, and it was one of the latest recordings that we've had in a while because I threw some stuff at him. So those should be a lot of fun. And next week, I'm going to be going to Gen Con.
Woo-woo!
So I'm going to be running a couple games of Capers. Absolutely love that system.
I have never used that system before, but with a name like Capers, I'm either assuming it's heists or superheroes or both.
It is superheroes,
Okay.
set in the 1920s. And instead of dice, it is a deck of playing cards that you use to randomize your rolls.
Yeah.
So instead of rolls, it's a draw, and your suit and number determines success, failure, and the quality in thereof. It is just a phenomenal time. I've run it at Gen Con a handful of times. Sometimes it is actually once it was somebody's first RPG they had ever played because their partner had backed the Kickstarter and had never gotten anybody back home to play it with them. So his one of the Kickstarter rewards was to have hey, we need a lot of art for this book. Submit your photo and we will base some of the heroes in the books off of your visage. So this guy was literally in the book and had not had the opportunity to play. We got to break the seal on that, and it was just a great time. So yeah, if you're going to be in the Gen Con area, I will be out and about. So will Dash. If you get a chance to listen to the podcast, we made a point of dropping that before he was going to be out there, so we could plug some of his events too. So yeah, should be a good time.
Very cool. Just as a brief retrospective, a situation that I hope nobody can empathize with. I drive an old car. I was driving around the other day, and I hear this sound that's a new sound.
Oh, I hate a new sound.
And in an old car, a new sound.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst. And so anyway, I pull over. I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I discover that it's coming from near the speakers. As it turns out, that auxiliary cable had sort of, touched up against one of those rails on your seat that carry just a little bit of grounding for those electrics. And so it was making a sound. It turns out all good, which is for the best, but boy, if that didn't give me a heart attack.
How old's the car? I out of curiosity.
2005.
Yeah, I was driving a 98. I thoroughly empathize with the absolute clenching terror that is the new sound of the old car.
So up until a couple of years ago, I was still rocking a 97 Volkswagen Jetta manual, candy white. Love that thing.
Vintage.
Taking it over multiple Rockies. But anyway, this is not a podcast about cars. I am always out of the loop on this gaming news thing. My head's so firmly in the past, as we'll see. Can you help orient me on what's going on in gaming right now, Chase?
I would love to, because a big piece of news dropped a couple of days ago that I have been just absolutely swimming in the past few days. Have you heard about what's going on down in Bethesda, Maryland, and with our buddy Todd?
I don't know, Chase. What is happening?
So we actually know what's happening, which is the first time in a very long time that we do. So Bethesda, Maryland, home, of course, of Bethesda Softworks, and our buddy Todd Howard, who is the current overseer of many different game IPs, most notably The Elder Scrolls, which we have not had a release of that in the past 15 years, 20 years.
Now, hang on a second, Chase.
I'm holding on.
I think you are forgetting Skyrim. And Skyrim, I'm sure that we've seen releases out of the Elder.
And actually, here's the thing. I did misspeak. I am missing another one. Oblivion.
Yes, Oblivion.
Did re-release last year, which was the most salient re-release. But no, after a pretty extended period of basically silence, they have broken that particular vow, and we've gotten some information, and this comes hot on the heels of some pretty major studio closings out of Microsoft as well. So people were a little concerned, a little worried about what was going on. Also, a lot of game cancellations that were announced as well. So some of the news that is not quite as surprising is that Starfield is going to be continued to be developed on. They're working on additional content for that. I really hope that becomes a game that people end up enjoying down the road in a No Man's Sky style.
Or a Cyberpunk 2077 style.
Exactly. We can get there eventually, hopefully, and I genuinely hope it does, because it makes me very sad that there's an open world, game by this company whose work I have historically really loved that I just cannot be bothered to care about, and it genuinely breaks my heart just a little bit.
So I've got a question for you, Chase.
Yeah.
Before we go someplace else, you want to love Starfield.
I do.
What's keeping you from loving Starfield?
So there's a few things. First off, sci-fi is just harder for me to get into than fantasy. I don't know why. It's just a taste thing. So that is always going to be a bit of a hurdle for me. But also, I go through this game and I really feel like the things that I do don't actually matter. And this is something that I have had an issue with in Bethesda games over the last, since Oblivion came out. This moment that you could become the head of every single organization, the choice of what organization you join really doesn't seem to carry much weight. Back in Morrowind, you not only do you have to meet certain stat requirements to join various guilds and whatnot, joining one will lock you out of other ones. That is better design, and it makes your decisions have more weight. This is all the more important for Starfield in particular, because there is an in-universe New Game Plus. everything has reset. But that means you could start again. And it's like, okay, I want to do a bandit run in this universe. I want to do, join this faction this time around, and that'll lock me out of this, and I can join that one next time. And that would incentivize replayability, incentivize you getting involved in more of the different universes. And I don't, that just seems like a very clear cut, yeah, this is part of the reason you would make a design choice like that. Making it so that you can just join everything the first time through, I feel like that really cuts down on the replayability.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I remember an oldie game, Mech Warrior. As you took contracts for various factions, the other factions around would start hating you. And if you walked into a planetary base or something held by one of those other factions, it's the game over screen, because you walk off the spaceship, they handcuff you, try you, and execution. So they took it a little bit seriously in that.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah. So I like that. Well, thank you for. I mean, I haven't played Starfield. I appreciate your perspective on how that could be more. Those choices could be more meaningful. I apologize for taking you away from the overall of the Bethesda of it all.
No, absolutely. And there are just a few other little points I want to hit here. We're going to be getting more Fallout. It sounds like they're going to be doing a remake of Fallout 3 and New Vegas. And to the point of other things being canceled, something that was revealed is that Obsidian once again has the Fallout license for a new Fallout game. So from the minds of New Vegas, or from the studio of New Vegas, I should say, I'm not sure how many people are still around, but the folks that gave us arguably the best Fallout game are going to be making another Fallout game. And that has me quite excited. I do think they're also going to be using the same engine that Starfield uses, which serviceable, good. I didn't have any problems with the gameplay elements of that, so I'm hopefully that'll be good for us. However, at Bethesda proper, they are full steam ahead on actually for real this time. We absolutely promise. For Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 are both heading forward on that same creation engine. So hopefully we should be getting that within the next 2 years, which is what we've been saying for several years. However, cautious optimism is the name of the game. And, we'll see. But yeah, that's... and this is all, like I said, it's on the heels of a lot of, cancellations and whatnot. None of it was terribly surprising. But the new Xbox CEO, her name is Asha Sharma, there it is, has been incredibly player focused and player forward as far as her leadership goes, and is really trying to figure out where the ball was dropped and get it scooped back up. So the jokes flying around, the memes flying around have been that, she closed a bunch of studios and sat Todd down as look, you're going to have a conversation with some people. Otherwise, further shutdowns will occur. I am hopeful that, her leadership continues to be a fruitful one for the company. And that we continue to hopefully see some more stuff out of Bethesda.
Now, I'm a little bit more pessimistic on her leadership.
Okay.
I want to open by just saying that we need to recognize that any game studio, any system, any social construct has an awful lot of momentum. And that momentum, once on a thing, is very hard to pull away. We often, as companies, make contracts, make promises that have terms of multiple years. And that's hard to get around, get away from. And so I am incredibly cognizant of the fact that, especially as she's only been in the job for... what are we up to? 6 months?
Somewhere in there. Yeah, she's still under a year.
It's still relatively new, that there is a lot of stuff that she's dealing with that she had nothing to do with.
Sure.
There are some people who are unnecessarily hard on her for decisions for things that were never her problem, never her mess in the first place. And we should always give some things.
Absolutely.
However, we like to not really get much into politics here on this podcast. Pretending like the political doesn't affect
Absolutely.
is kind of in the same way as pretending that the law doesn't impact your video games. And since the first episode here, we've been hounding how law influences your video games.
100%.
And of course, how some people are trying to change the law to make things more beneficial to consumers. Stop killing games, the Protect Our Games Act in California, the Citizens Initiative in Europe, all that stuff. So I guess really, I just want to say, I have a little bit of concern because I have heard about the federal position that was opened for her. And I'm very concerned just because I see an awful lot of people in technology getting involved in government affairs, especially over the past few years.
Correct.
And I don't think a reasonable, rational take on any of those has been that those have been successful for consumers or citizens.
Absolutely.
I hate to bring the room down. I hope all the best for her. I hope that she's doing all these great things, but I just have to be the wet blanket and be like, that could be bad.
Can you kind of fill me in a little bit more? What is this federal position that she has been... That is something I 100% agree on. Tech people need to stay in tech. We need politicians and lawyers and judges to stay in their field. We all have our things that we're good at. We don't need to be jumping ship because then we get cyclospora outbreaks in my backyard.
Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, but didn't you hear? That's not that didn't really happen. False positives, right?
Yeah, false positives.
Little skeptical.
Right after the meeting.
Right after.
The darndest thing.
The darndest thing. So this is a position at the Federal Reserve.
Oh.
Asha Sharma is leading the newly established Productivity and Jobs Task Force. Which, again, leads me to a certain little bit of concern. You're on the Jobs Task Force immediately after all these closures. Again, I will stress, I am cognizant of the fact that a lot of problems that are going on were not things that she started. If there is the situation that buying up all these companies was just an albatross, those were decisions made long before she got there and realities that she has to grit and deal with. This might be a thing. Anyway, additionally, a lot of what the Productivity and Jobs Task Force is going to be revolving around is particularly the impact and use of artificial intelligence. And
Naturally.
I have very big feelings about the use of artificial intelligence in these fields. But we don't know what we don't know. And there's so much we don't know. But I just want to say we should be critical of the decisions and be aware of what's going on, just to sort of, balance these things.
100%. And I should say, as I was talking a lot of sugar there a minute ago, CEOs aren't your friends.
Indeed. Companies aren't your friends.
Companies aren't your friends.
Except Ghostlight Media. Ghostlight Media is your friend.
We're not a corporation. We're an LLC.
That's right.
No, it's like, I love Dropout. Sam Reich is not my friend.
Yeah. Very fair. Sorry, Chase, I feel like I keep derailing us, but I do share some of your cautious optimism. I do hope that she is shaking things up in a way that is beneficial for us long term. Just want to say, keep an eye.
Absolutely. I do have one other piece of news here.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Darkest Dungeon?
So, no, I own a copy, and I've just never committed.
That's fair. It is a fairly old game. I think it's coming up on like 7 or 8 years old now. It is, it's been out for a minute, and it's about to get some new DLC, which is not the first piece of big DLC that we have seen pop back up for a very old game, because the big one that I am very excited about, that I am just using this as a window to talk about, is The Witcher 3 getting some DLC after an incredibly extended gap between. Witcher 3 might be my favorite video game of all time. It's just very good. And the fact that they are dropping, like, it is, going to be in tandem with the, or in celebration and preparation for the new Witcher game that is going to be coming out. I believe it's going to be focusing more on Ciri, which is very interesting. And we'll be seeing more of that in the somewhat near future. But in the meantime, we early next year, I believe, we're going to be getting some Witcher 3 DLC, a game that is over 10 years old. Not little, outfits or cosmetics or weapons or whatnot, like a full-on proper DLC. And the last time they dropped a DLC for this game, it was like the DLC itself was my favorite game I played that year. They had a couple of pieces of DLC in the last one. Their capstone, what was their capstone, is Blood and Wine, which took us to a completely new, very large map, which the entirety of Blood and Wine easily could have been a standalone game. Maybe not a full price game, but easily a $30, $40, like, you would not have blinked twice for the amount of content that you got it at. And that game went to, like, collector's edition, like, you get all the DLC very, very quickly after everything came out. And so I think I got it originally for the PS3 for like $16. Just an absolute generosity of video game in that video game. So the fact that we are getting more of it this many years later is absolutely heartwarming, and I hope it's good.
Yeah. I don't think that we could possibly have as much coming down the line for the new DLC for Darkest Dungeon.
No!
But I am excited for the Darkest Dungeon, if nothing else, as a vehicle to hear your passion for the new Witcher 3 DLC, because they do good stuff over there.
They do. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, Chase, thank you so much for bringing the news.
Absolutely.
So many awesome things for me to look forward to. I would like to take you into the past for a little bit of video game history. Chase, I think I'll start with the most recent item that I have on my little history bit, and that is a 2015 event, a world record, if you will. I'm going to give you just a couple of details, and I know we're not in the trivia section of the show, but I am going to ask you to make a guess, perhaps educated, who knows. The record is more than 100 hours. In what video game the world record is currently for longest video game marathon, using Guinness World Record rules, so they let you bank some time and take breaks. So there's a new one that gets set this last week in 2015.
Okay.
And the one previous. If you had any guesses, longest video game marathon, what do you think people are setting longest gaming marathons in? What games?
May I ask a clarifying question, just to kind of narrow my field down?
Absolutely.
Are we talking single or multiplayer?
The one in 2014 was, I believe, a multiplayer game.
Okay.
The one that replaced it was single player only.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to guess Halo Reach.
Ooh. Interesting. I like it. Okay. Any guesses for what supplanted it? Remember, we're talking over 100 hours.
2015. I need to... Was this a new game in 2015?
Technically, yes. Yes, it was a new game in 2015. Here we go. I'll give you the numbers.
Okay.
In 2014, it was 136 hours of playing this game.
Okay.
And in 2015, it was 138 hours of playing this other game that was released in 2015.
I have two competing answers in my head, and both of them are insane. I actually need to double check here and see if the game I'm thinking of even came out in 2015 or if it was 2016. Let's see here. Okay, that was 2016. So I'm glad I didn't guess Stardew Valley, because that's what I thought it would be.
That's cozy.
I could drop 130 hours into that game. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Normal
work.
Tuesday night.
Absolutely. You did couch it ever so slightly when you said 2015. I'm going to guess Skyrim.
Call back to how Skyrim's been re-released bajillions of times.
Exactly.
In 2014, the previous record, 136 hours of playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Sure.
Makes
yeah.
sense.
That was on the top 5.
All right. In 2015, and an accomplishment that will be honored every single time July rolls around, Carrie Swedecki, resident of California, 38 hours of playing Just Dance 2015.
I need to take a walk on a pier to think about that.
Yep. This is a long thought thing.
Wow.
Which this is 2015 Just Dance is not the most vigorous workout game ever, but it's no walk on a pier.
No.
And it's no walk in a park.
No.
It is an accomplishment, absolutely. She did it. She's a teacher at the time. I'm not exactly sure what she's up to now, but she was a teacher. She did this as a fundraiser for her school where she taught. Raised a bunch of money for it, and obviously had Guinness and other people on things. She has done these types of marathons in the past, so it wasn't like she just picked up the controller, but like, yeah, gaming includes exercise gaming and includes setting records not just for fastest things, but also for feats of indomitable willpower and physical strength. Carrie, hats off.
Wow.
Let's just hop to something. Just a couple of other little games came out this last week and years before. A lovely little title that I love for the PC, released in 2016, called Song of the Deep. Just a lovely little Metroidvania underwater thing. A lovely Irish voice actor providing the narration. You're in this little submarine that you've built yourself, off to go and try and find your father who's lost out at sea. It's heartwarming. It's lovely, and in very great company. And yeah, I think we'll just leave it there for history this week. I should have opened with that Song of the Deep because, how do you follow the feat of Carrie Swedecki? And that's our history for this week. Now, Chase, it's time for us to talk about our topic of the week.
Absolutely.
I believe you, my friend, have something that's in video gaming that we need to spend a little bit more time chatting about.
We do, and honestly, it is prescient that we are talking about this, not necessarily today, but in this span of time, because we've gotten some information about the next one of these coming up here soon. Is that last time I was on, I was talking about some sugar on Fable, specifically on my absolute adoration for that series, specifically Game 3. Fable 3 is not well loved in the community, such as it is, because there are some genuinely clunky elements to it. There is not a traditional pause screen. You hit pause and you basically drop into an alternate dimension, and you have to walk around to do things like save and access settings and whatnot. And that is a little weird. The magic system works in an absolutely insane way. You have to go and equip gloves in your save room and then go back out, and then you can do a lot with them. They can combine and work together in interesting ways, or you can cast them individually. And of course, there is the entire third act of that game where it is, just jumping through time, and you can save the world basically by going out to the poorest town and just being a bard for an hour and a half.
Oh.
Because, the entire third act is you are now the king. You have to make the tough calls between whether you want to, get a bunch of money and kick a bunch of puppies, or be nice to the people of your city, but also this terrible evil is going to come, and if you don't have the money to pay the guards to defend the town, your city will be overrun and people will hate you forever. And so the actual answer to this is either be a landlord and take all the money and then just donate the money yourself to fund the guards, or go and, be a bard, do a bunch of like menial work and just earn money through combos and multipliers and whatnot, and then donate all the money that way.
Absolutely. Toss a coin to your Witcher.
Oh, Valley of Plenty. There's a lot weird going on there, but I cannot bring myself to even dislike this game because every single one of those bad choices was evidence of effort. This was not a lazy game. These were not decisions made by people who didn't care what was going into the game, who didn't know what they were doing. These were decisions being made because we want to try a thing, and sometimes when you try a thing and you put effort and you actually try to innovate, it doesn't super work every single time. And I cannot be mad about somebody making an effort and it not panning out. I get mad and I get frustrated when it seems like, oh, you have all of the tools. You could have done this in a way that was interesting and accessible and like just makes sense, and then you chose to go about it in a lazy way. None of these choices were lazy decisions. They were just the wrong one. And this was, Fable 3 came out 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. I was living in my apartment on Main Street. That's all I remember. I think I might even have the box, the collector's edition I bought within reach of me. It is somewhere in this morass of knickknacks that I have sitting behind me.
But it features prominently in your Mass O knickknacks.
Yes. And maybe it is the artist in me, going to art school. The thing that I didn't realize until way too late in the game is that art school is there for you to try and fail. It is a safe environment for you to take risks. And they did the dangerous thing and took a risk in the professional world, and all of them almost panned out. And that's the hard thing to see, because it really did. I think it hampered the studio. I think a lot of the missteps that we saw down the road, a lot of their missteps even further down the road were them trying things and them not working out. And some of them were, things have stopped working out. We need to start making the safe decisions. And when you start making the safe decisions is when you stop being interesting. Going back to earlier, I think a lot of Starfield is a lot of really safe decisions. Your choices don't matter. You can do whatever you want. Go on out there and do it. But that's not interesting. Restrictions make things interesting, and that's what Fable tried to do. And my word, they almost got it. And I say it's interesting that we're talking about it now because I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit, maybe about a month ago, we got a 30-minute gameplay trailer of the new Fable game that will be coming out in February of next year. There was a little bit of combat at the very end, but it was basically like a social interaction exploration. It's like, hey, this is an expedited version of how, being in a town and building reputation and whatnot works. And they are doing interesting things with it. Each town is going to have localized perceptions of your character, which you can influence by taking quests, doing things, talking to the right people, making the right kinds of connections, and allowing them to see how you act. It's not a strict good or evil thing anymore, and they've gotten rid of the character morphing, which is unfortunate, but they're pushing things in a new and what I genuinely believe is a much more interesting direction. So we are still several, about 6 months out from it. Actually, almost exactly 6 months. I think it's like February 26th or something that it's going to be coming out. And I know that's a day I'm going to be taking off of work for sure, because that is a game that also takes me right back to high school. I recently replayed Fable 1. Fable 2 and 3 are tragically locked to consoles, and I don't own an Xbox right now. Otherwise, I would have been playing them, but such is the way of games these days, tragically.
On this theme of risky business, risky choices, innovation, I do love the idea. I love constraints as a way to really breed creativity.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of real creativity when people work within the constraints of limitations on hardware. I think people do a lot of good things there. Like, it's one of the reasons why my favorite TTRPG systems are ones that tend to have, well, my favorite is one that's completely point buy, GURPS. And there are several others that I like because I like the idea of really having to ask yourself what's important, what do we sacrifice in service of getting the story out there in the context of video games. But I think we see a lot of games that take risks and don't get a chance to come back round again. Whether that's with the IP, they make the risks for the innovation to bring us something new. It doesn't, it doesn't land the critical acclaim, and for a lot of them, that's the end of the road. I'm glad that we're seeing more Fable, and hopefully they can keep that up. If there is, Chase says, somebody who loves Fable 3 so much, if there is one mechanic that you would like to see them take but improve, and then one that you would like to see them leave in the dust, can I have your wish list?
Without question, the one to keep is the magic system from Fable 3 because...
You love the gloves.
Well, not necessarily the gloves, but what you can do is you can combine spells. So say you've got a lightning spell and a tornado spell. You could cast them at the same time, and suddenly you have a lightning tornado that you can shoot out. You can, it's a little... Or actually, if I'm remembering correctly, and again, it's been well over a decade since I've played this, but Fire Tornado was also incredibly potent. It's very cool. The thing I would like to get rid of is the level up system. I actually didn't mind the weird pause screen thing. I thought that was kind of like a neat, intuitive, like diegetic way to explore a pause and like be a little bit more immersed permanently in that world. But the level up system, basically as you would level up, you would go to the path of the hero, which I can't believe I remember that. And as you would continue to level up, you could go and like that's where you would buy your spell upgrades, and you could use your level up experience and whatnot to purchase different things as you moved down this road, so and more gates would open.
The path of the hero was a 3-dimensional space that you went to and moved. Okay.
And today something like that would be just as easily represented by like a skill tree or something like that. But again, it was a diegetic skill tree that you existed in a 3D space, which again, not a bad idea necessarily, but it was an additional complication on top of a lot of other things that was going on. But locking things behind that specifically did not feel good, because a lot of your level ups and a lot of things that, if I'm remembering right, there were also story beats that would open up gates and allow you to do things. So you were gated by story progression and level progression at the same time. And while I recognize games are usually designed with that in mind anyways, that's not typically how Fable has done things in the past. I have, like I said, I played Fable 1 a couple of months ago, when they announced that because I do have that on Steam. They all used to be available on Steam, and they took 2 and 3 off for whatever reason, but they did an anniversary collection or an anniversary re-release of the first game a couple of years back, and I snagged that immediately. Plays real good on the Steam Deck.
Good to know.
Which was a delight to find. So with the games coming out, or with the new game coming out, I have a shadow of hope that maybe we will get a PC re-release of 2 and 3, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, I hope so too. I've played 2, I never played 3, but I kind of wanna, and I don't have any of the consoles necessary. But there is one other thing. You got me talking about this, these pause screens.
Yeah.
There was a game released in the late 2000s called Alone in the Dark.
Yes.
And for those who haven't played it, you were Edward Carnby of the series going back, and when you paused, you would open your trench coat to look at your inventory, the universe kept moving around you, and you had to do lots of things like, you know, you would combine a rag and a thing of gas to make a Molotov cocktail, you know, all sorts of things like that. You'd combine things and throw them, shoot them. It was definitely an interesting take. I appreciated how they tried. Sadly, I feel like they're the kind of dark mirror of this, where they tried and could not. They tried a lot of interesting things, including but not limited to, you know, making it so that you could basically skip whole sections of the game if it was too hard. And you could skip to, you know, there were some limitations, but you could skip sections if it was giving you too much trouble, and carry on with the story. Also, you know, the pause thing, and also most all enemies had to be killed with fire. Nothing else would put them down permanently. And the majority of the whole game occurred within the confines of Central Park, you know, in New York. So it was like a lot of very interesting, and they did a pretty good job of trying to be faithful to what was in Central Park. I mean, obviously no demons in Central Park that we're aware of. They took a lot of risks. It didn't pay off, but, you know, on that subject of just innovation and taking risks, I'm glad that it exists as a piece of art. I'm glad that I have a copy, and you know, and yeah, I think it's just as valuable as the Skyrims out there.
Absolutely. Because you mentioned being interested in how the limitations of something can breed that creativity. I'm going to drop a link in our chat here for a project you might be interested in. So this is gbstudio.dev, a link to a program called GB Studio, which is a modern program that lets you make Game Boy games. Like straight up, you have the tool set, you can make something. My understanding is that if you have something that can flash to one of those carts, you could run this on a Game Boy.
So Lom is currently doing his collecting for the Game Boy. He's got an analog pocket that he loves and plays frequently. And he is always talking about how much he loves the Game Boy. I have fond feelings for the Game Boy. I think this is very cool. I might actually try my hand at making one, but I love stuff like this. There is a Kickstarter I backed way back in the day called NES Maker, and it was for basically the same general thing. It was a program part WYSIWYG in order to allow you to build the games. And a couple of years ago, when I went back to Wisconsin to visit Lom in person, we went to the Midwest Gaming Classic there in Wisconsin, and there was a whole section of the floor that was just dedicated to games that had been built with NES Maker. And good times. I am a firm believer in the creativity that you can bring to bear with some limitation. Thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Absolutely.
Well, we could continue to talk about limitations. We could continue to talk about the high hopes that we have for the new Fable. But we got to keep on moving, Chase. I hope you'll forgive me. We have got ourselves a little Kickstarter project. We call this Kicker Kickstart. It's a project trying to get off of the ground. I'm going to go ahead and share a link with you.
Interesting.
This is a project, let's just throw it out there. It's a third-person mecha action game. If that appeals to you, I think this might be up your alley. They're looking at a 280,000 goal in order to make this game. At the current moment, they're at 56,000 with about 8 days to go, which does not bode very well for their project. And if I'm being entirely honest, I don't think you or I can necessarily move the needle here. But it is a project that I think deserves some highlighting for what Hit Break Games is trying to do. They're a small team, an indie team, a first-time game, out of this team, although some of the team, I just like that team, has experience with other productions.
Okay.
They are, in theory, based out of LA, although, as we know, many indie studios, you're not really based in one spot. You're all over the place. But Mecha Awesomeness, the idea is a release date in Q2 of 2028 with a $25 minimum buy-in. At some point in time, you just have to see this. So if you're listening after the fact, go ahead, have a look, see if maybe it's for you. Code Rapid does happen to have a playable demo that you can try out on Steam, see if it's your thing. That's something that I'm always looking for on a Kickstarter. Ideally, before we even talk about it, that it has something, because no playable demo is an automatic no from this guy. But yeah, the idea of it to have all these different parts of your mech that you can modify, weapons, core expansions, various weight classes to the mechs that impact that interplay between your speed, your maneuverability, what weapons you've got as options, how much you can tank, and all of that. Anyway, I think looks wonderful. I would love to see it. Is this a genre or a thing that appeals to you? Anything stand out to you?
So, not typically. I like a mech well enough. I had my Gundam Wing phase growing up.
Whomst amongst us?
Who's amongst hasn't thought about driving the heavy arms?
I know.
I'm just scrolling through and I'm looking at this customization section, and I'm watching all of like these parts flying on and off, and the different builds you can roll out with. You can paint your mech in any sundry ways, which sings to my heart as somebody who loves to paint D&D minis without any purpose for them to actually be used, because haven't played in-person D&D in quite a while. Let alone with minis. But no, this looks really interesting. It is a genuine bummer. I'm gonna, actually hit it, as soon as we are not on a video call, I'm going to be hitting the play the demo button and getting that downloaded. I hope they continue, even though it looks like they're not going to be hitting their goal. I hope they can find some way to continue moving forward on this, even if it does have to move to a 2029 release date as opposed to a 2028, and people working on it in their spare time. The art style is really interesting. It is this has a slightly, it's a cell shaded kind of look, but not quite so cartoony as like not a Breath of the Wild, as a Wind Waker.
Yes.
Midpoint between Wind Waker and Nier Automata.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. It definitely has a lot of maybe Mega Tokyo atmosphere.
Yes.
Obviously, we wish everybody the best. Hopefully, Hitbreak Games can make this happen. Either, perhaps not now in this Kickstarter, but maybe they bring it back later. I hope that people get a chance to try it out, see what they have to offer, and some project like this from these people can be brought, because I think there's good bones, there's good ideas, and I want to be in a mech and be able to swing a big sword against my enemies. Love that journey for me, and love that journey for all of us. And that's been Kicker Kickstart. We come now to the trivia section of the show, a little thing we call Nerdflex. I promised that I was not going to seek out your cadre of co-creatives once again for this. I lied.
I figured you did.
This time around, though, we do not have any subterfuge related to the reveal. First question comes from our good friend, Justin Michael.
Which Pokemon does not have a signature move? Xerneas, Iron Bundle, Veluza, or Dunsparce?
In spite of the fact that this right here, off to the side of me, is my Perler reproductions of all of the Pokebadges.
Yes.
I have not played a lot of these games. I'm not exactly confident on the answer to this question, because it's past when I have good knowledge of the series.
Justin is well and truly deeper into the paint in Pokemon far more than most folks that I know personally.
He has forgotten more about Pokemon than most of us will ever know.
Correct.
There is a resident Pokemaster on our, in our community here on Two Nerds in a Pod, Spennis the Menace, and I would love to see those two go up against each other. Only one would leave the dome, but I'm curious to see you.
I'm going with option C.
Okay.
Veluza.
I will go with you on that because I have no idea. All right. So, and the answer is B, Iron Bundle.
Interesting.
So Iron Bundle's the only one that does not have a signature move. See, back in my day, they didn't even have signature moves. So, alas.
I did not realize, one, I didn't know Iron Bundle was a Pokemon because I played Pokemon Scarlet, and that one is only in Violet.
Our good friend Ryan, who has the next question for us.
Fire Emblem The Three Houses follows Blythe at a school where you can choose one of three houses to lead. There are the Golden Deer, the Blue Lions, and the Black Eagles. What is the name of the secret fourth house? Ryan, I'm mad at you because you were sitting on my porch earlier today and did not hint at this subterfuge in the slightest. Furthermore, I am annoyed because I have played this game and it was many years ago. And so we're talking pre-COVID.
Sure.
So, I am plumbing the depths of my knowledge here, but I'm going to say A, the Ashen Wolves.
Okay. I have never played Fire Emblem, any of them. So anything I would be saying is just a sheer shot in the dark. I'm gonna go with you on Ashen Wolves because I don't know the first thing about this. However, my initial inclination was toward the Ivory Griffins, just because I think that sounds cool.
Gotcha.
But
Fair.
Ryan says the correct answer is A, the Ashen Wolves. Elderguard did nothing wrong, is in parentheses.
Edelgard did nothing wrong. Look, if he didn't say it, I was gonna.
Those who know, they know.
Those who know do know. Fun fact: if you are a Bluey fan, in the episode Hammer Barn, the names of the three main characters are seen on boxes corresponding to the color of their house.
Somebody there's a fan.
Somebody out there is a fan because somebody out there also has children they are trying to raise on minimal screen time, and Bluey's only 7 minutes long.
Third and final question comes to us from Griffin. And it's funny how Skyrim just shows up sometimes.
Griffin, this is insidious. Which of these cities in Skyrim is paired with the wrong holdfast? Whiterun in Whiterun Hold, Riften in Eastmarch, Markarth in the Reach, Solitude in Hafengar.
Markarth. Oh no, maybe I'm thinking Mirak, the name of the one who was up in the Morrowind DLC where you went from Skyrim. Okay, that's what's getting wrong. Okay,
Markarth, if I'm remembering correctly, and this is probably the longest I've gone without actively playing Skyrim for an extended period of time. I think the answer is C, because I think the Reach is in a different location. I think the Reach is further west.
And even though I've played it, I didn't pay attention to their holdfasts.
Nobody pays attention to the holdfast. That's why it's insidious. You pay attention to the cities.
Yeah. So I'll go with you. Griff says the correct answer is B. Riften, despite being in the eastern side of the country, is the capital of the aptly named holdfast, the Rift. Eastmarch is the holdfast belonging to Windhelm.
There it is.
We don't know everything about video games. We do know a lot, and to be fair, we did ask for that.
We did.
We shouldn't feel bad that we didn't get it right.
No, I'm not gonna.
Thanks, Justin. Ryan, Griffin, we did get one.
We got
you
one.
You did get one.
I got one.
I did nothing to help, so not quite a clean sweep. We can at least hold our heads high. All right, well, now we turn to a little bit of legalese. And here, of course, as I prefaced earlier, the law does impact the way that we enjoy video games. Now, I'm not a lawyer here. I'm also not a lawyer in China. And I do just want to take a moment to acknowledge, as we talk about video games, consumer protections, something that comes around a lot currently, that this is one way in which China is kind of cool. I heard about a set of cases, and I won't go too deep into them because I am relying on the translation of other people. A little bit of background for this case. There's a woman, the widow of a gamer, who was trying to inherit an in-game item, a very valuable one from a game called I'm gonna get it wrong, Zengetsu, I think. But anyway, it's the golden knife in one of these games in China. The romantic partner of the character in the game, not the IRL widow, but the in-game widow, was opposed to the claim and was just like, hey, this is an item, right, that can only be gained collaboratively through player accounts and only as a couple. So I am the in-game spouse of this person, and we had to do it as a team. You, the widow of the IRL person, can't lay a claim to this virtual asset. And so this arises over the idea of, is this item inheritable property? If so, does it belong to the deceased's estate or the in-game romantic partner? Who has the valid claim here? In it, the court finds that another player had tried to offer to buy the golden knife, establishing for the court beyond, reasonable doubt that the weapon, that the golden knife, was a genuinely valuable thing. It had good market value. It also was like, hey, it also takes considerable time, effort, and financial resources invested by both the players into getting the item. And so they say, all right, we find as a matter of law that the golden knife does constitute virtual property with economic value, and that makes it available as a threshold matter to be included as part of the deceased's estate. However, the fact that it did require the romantic partner of the in-game partner meant that this was a ownership relationship shared by them. And so they kind of split the baby there, did this a 50-50. The deceased's widow out of game and the in-game romantic partner who gets the other 50%. And this is one of the early cases in China, at least, that really drilled down on the concepts of legal protection for virtual property. And much in the same way that you'll find a case here in the United States or anywhere that gets cited an awful lot, this is one of those foundational cases in digital property law, all arising out of a messy dispute between a digital paramour and an IRL widow, and we can thank video games for that. Does this work in the United States? Probably not. But, hey, when in China, split your golden knives between your game wife and your real wife.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just some legalese for you.
That is wild.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, the inheritability of a Steam account is going to come up in question again. And I hope sooner rather than later, because I am embarrassed by how much I have in my Steam account, and I would love to be able to leave that account to, like, my son or my brother or something like that. And right now, like, that is a considerable amount of games that just kind of evaporate the moment I do.
Yeah. I hope that we're able to, maybe not through this exact same method, but I hope that we're able to figure this out here in the United States. And again, like you said, sooner rather than later. Although I will, as just an aside, that would never, how do you think that would come down in your jurisdictions?
Okay, so I would say I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not your attorney. You seek out legal counsel for any of these kinds of things. And also, so first of all, if you have any kind of planning put in place estate-wise, if it is possible for a trustee specifically, that's the easiest way to do this. If it is possible for a trustee to execute on it, my understanding it is the onus is upon them to execute it to the best of their ability. If the asset were to have monetary value, that would make it as a part of the estate, unless there was, because it all comes down to titling.
Yeah.
So unless there is an element of the golden knife that has some kind, has that the other player's name attached to it as a co-owner or as a partial owner, that might put this into the realm of being kind of interesting.
Your thinking is it would probably take some type of metadata that included both names to put this into in the United States, to probably put it into contested rather than just bundled into the estate.
Correct.
I see.
Absolutely correct. That would, and that metadata would have to indicate ownership as well, not just necessarily creation, but there would have to be some sort of an actionable claim within the game's systems itself. And I'm just imagining the very old Midwestern judges that I work with in my, day-to-day, trying to deal with something like this, because they're dealing with farm property. I think if I were to go up to one of the judges and start talking to them about digital swords as monetary, actual assets, they would get mad at me.
Okay. Counterpoint, I would love to see this. This is our new law procedural in the Midwest. You've got to explain everything as though it were a John Deere software update. That's the only way we would get the Midwest farmer judges on board.
You see, now I actually want, now you've got my head spinning about, a procedural about a law office that just deals in digital rights management of, accounts and, I don't think it goes longer than a season, but I think that's the story we need to tell right there. I think that's enough.
Exactly. And we don't have to be Americans in the sense of trying to get more and more seasons. We can tell our story and step away.
We can be graceful about it. The Good Place told its story and it got out.
Yes.
And it is one of the best shows. Honestly, come to think of it, most of the best shows of the last 20 years got in, told their story, got out.
Agreed. Well, and that's the perfect transition. I have no idea how I'm going to keep all of this. Chase, now that we've talked about all that, it is the end of the show, but it would be a dereliction of duty to not talk about the cool nerdy things that we are watching and playing, cool nerdy books that we're reading, all sorts of things. And I just have a couple to throw out real quick because I have watched Pluribus for the first time. Absolutely loved it. And I am in the process of watching Ted Lasso because there is a glorious thing called a 7-day free trial of Apple TV, and I am trying to get as much of this as I can in that 7 days because Apple does not get 1 red cent for me. They know what they did. As for playing, though, I'm playing been playing a bit of Mina the Hollower, and also a good friend of mine I meet together with on the regular, and he's gotten me into Valheim. So we are playing that as a team and having a good time.
Both incredible games.
Indeed.
Absolutely incredible. I love Mina. Was so glad to see Yacht Club sink it again. Shovel Knight was so very good. And all of its expansions that, again, talk about a generosity of game.
Oh, yeah. I was not really a fan of Mina the Hollower at the outset. I was like,
okay, sure.
I like it, the difficulty, but
It's rough.
Yeah. It really won me over. And not just in a get good way, like I got better and it was good, but that I eventually realized the lessons they were trying to share. And that made the difference.
Yeah, I have not struggled with boss fights in a game like that since Elden Ring. The final boss put me through my pace. Like more than a week it took me to get through. But I'm also kind of bad at games, so that makes sense.
Same, man. Absolutely the same. What cool nerdy things are you watching and playing and such?
So I am actually in the middle of a book right now, and I have it as it happens. I am sitting next to it. I have been reading R.F. Kuang's Catabasis. I've been a real R.F. Kuang kick recently. I just listened to the entirety of the Poppy War trilogy, which if you are an Audible subscriber, you can get the entire trilogy for 1 credit as a combination. The Poppy War is, think Game of Thrones through the perspective of a single female character who, but instead of it being a Western European medieval fantasy, it is Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, very interesting book, heavy books. And this is no less heavy. Catabasis is about 2 grad students who are studying magic at Cambridge have to go to hell to get their advisor back because he died and nobody else can teach them. They have to get him out to graduate, and they don't want to go to another school. They don't want to deal with the whole credits transferring thing.
That would be motivating.
Very cool book. It pulls a lot from different faiths and mythologies about hell.
Yeah.
Is building an absolutely fascinating world. Similar to Valheim, I've been playing Enshrouded, survival in the woods kind of game. So it doesn't have the proc gen elements that Valheim has to my recollection, but it has more like story elements that you are discovering, and you're basically building a little village out of NPCs you find in the woods and bringing them back home, and they expand your ability to craft and whatnot. Having a really good time with, and I've also been playing Cassette Beasts, which is a Pokemon-like. You are washed up in a island out of time, and you capture monsters by recording them onto audio cassettes, and you yourself transform into them by listening to the cassettes, which creates some really interesting things as far as like buffs and debuffs, because even though one monster may die, you can load in another cassette and keep on listening and turn into that other monster, but those buffs were on you and the debuffs were on you, so they persist across creatures. It is a little bit faster paced than a Pokemon. I have beaten the game proper. I am 1 dialogue selection away from going into the true end game, but I am having such a good time just hanging out on this island and, seeing the different creatures and doing the thing. I'm poking around in some of the post-game content, and it continues to be a delight.
Nice. Well, thanks so much, Chase, for sharing. And Cassette Beasts is 65% off on Steam right now, so it's like $6. That's hard to pass up.
I bought it for about that price. Again, runs great on the deck. I have played it for 23.4 hours over the past couple of weeks. So $6 for a full day of entertainment. Hard to beat.
Absolutely hard to beat. Well, Chase, I could talk games with you forever, but all good things must come to a close, and we appreciate you being here and filling in for Lam. And also, we appreciate all you listeners out there for coming around and listening to the show. Remember that most Mondays, twitch.tv/2nerdsinapod, you can catch the live show. And of course, Wednesdays is when I try to get the podcast itself up. But before we go, Chase, anything you want to plug?
I'm going to be at Gen Con in about a week's time. I will be leaving a week and a day from today as it happens. I will be taking the journey out there, and I'll be there from Thursday through that Sunday. You can catch me on the various social networks at TQ Loudly. You can find me as the DM of Another Path. You can find me playing Nehemiah on Imprinted Echoes. And check out all of the shows over on ghostlightmedia.net. Other big thing we've got, it's farther on the horizon, but if you're around Ohio, we will be at a Catacon this year. We're actually getting a Ghostlight room that is going to be us doing events and whatnot. So I need to start corralling the cats so that we can figure out exactly what it is we're going to be doing. We're talking about, doing some different panels. I run a 25-person game of D&D, which I need to start writing because, fun fact, those take a while to write.
Indeed.
So that's going to be a great time, and but that's going to be in November. So, but yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming out, and thank you for listening. Remember, everybody, be excellent to each other, and keep it nerdy. Bye.
Keep it nerdy. Bye.